All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this video is going to be a little bit of a slow video, which means basically I haven't thought too terribly much about what I'm going to say in this video. I like mapped it out too terribly well. So there's going to be a lot of pauses, a lot of ums, and we're just going to have to roll with it, okay? Especially since I'm still a little confused about how exactly to answer the question being posed by this video. Some stuff that's been going on with me is my channel's basically gone up something stupid, like 70% subscribers in the last like 2 or 3 months. I'm looking at my channel analytics right here. Most of this is due to hardcore and PvE type stuff, all the stamina, intellect, whatnot that I've been doing. Historically, I do Paladin versus Paladin PvP guides. I usually stay out of PvE type stuff. Anyways, what this is basically resulting in, however, we can get rid of that. Done with the analytics. What this is basically resulting in is people asking a lot of questions about, like, who the hell am I? Because basically, just coming in from like the PvP stuff. Like, who are you? Why are you making guides and you're not showing any actual? Let me move the mic away from this so you guys don't get too much ASMR from me. So I get a bunch of weird questions these days. Historically, I've gotten these questions in the past, but usually I just ignore them because there wasn't enough of them to actually make a video on the subject. And I figured that eventually they would ask around. People would ask around about me and get told to shut the hell up. But I get a lot of questions in the vein of why do I make guides, but people don't. I don't actually show any video footage of me dueling, like right here. I think we're dueling tip top. All right, we might be fighting. Whoa! I don't want the sound going. What are we doing here? All right, turn off the sound. All right. So I'll answer that first question real fast here. The reason why you don't see a lot of dueling videos of me doing this or that is because I never got a two-handed weapon on my Paladin in Classic World of Warcraft. I've been insanely unlucky with it. I saw an untamed blade drop once and was offered it, but I turned it down. This was back when we still thought Blood Drinker, the two-handed axe from AQ, was going to have a 100% spell power ratio. Once AQ came out and we figured out that Blood Drinker didn't have any spell power ratio at all, then the scramble for me to actually get a two-handed weapon started, and I just never got one. I have a two-handed, it's like a sulfur and hammer waiting for Eye of Rag. I've never seen an Eye of Rag even drop. It's not like they've been dropping. I just haven't been getting them, like winning rolls or anything. No, I've never even seen one drop. I've never seen a Blade of Kalmandor. I've never seen a Dark Edge of Insanity. I've seen a couple Ashkandis. I never saw a Bone Reaver's Edge. This is pretty insane, bad RNG luck. But that's the main reason why I don't make PvP videos, is because I'm a Holy Reckoning Paladin without a two-handed weapon, which kind of sucks. So just about any dueling video I actually do put out is a duel where two-handed weapon really wouldn't matter. So that's the short version of the story. The longer version of the story is that I cannot focus. I cannot talk to you guys the way I talk to you guys and have something moving on the screen demanding my attention at the same time. Like, I can't do it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to turn off my computer monitor and start up this video and lean back in the chair so you can watch me actually dueling somebody while I'm talking to you. And hopefully it gets recorded properly. So yeah, I can't do that. The other important thing here to take away is I am a keyboard turning, clicking paladin. All right. Now, this doesn't bother me at all because I've gotten really good at it over the years. And Paladin's not really a class that requires very pinpoint decision making, right? Like, you have an entire 1.5 second GCD window to make your damn decisions, and you don't have a lot of buttons to click. Personally, I never bothered to get better than being a clicker because it's like I own a Razer Naga and I've got 12, 13, 14 keybinds, and I'm playing Paladin in Classic World of Warcraft. Why the hell? I would feel offended to think that I needed to keybind more playing Paladin in Classic WoW than 14 keybinds. Somebody please kill me. But here's the real big TLDR of everything, right? I am not the paladin. I was thinking about this. I am not the paladin that you should be aspiring to executionally, right? Clearly. Executionally, as a paladin, you want to be aspiring to Drakova. You watch Drakova for his execution, blah, 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 blah. However, I am definitely one of the paladins, one of two paladins that you should be aspiring to intellectually, like, knowledge based wise, strategy based wise, gearing wise, like that kind of a thing, right? And since I am not the physical, the execution based paladin that one should be aspiring to, I felt no reason to actually make videos, me running around showing my ineptitude, while blathering away about paladin theory crafting and yada yada yada. All right, turning back on my monitor. But, it is what it is. Did they just chase me away from Tips Out? Yeah, I remember that in the duel. They were like, fuck off. You don't get to kill him. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So I will point you guys in the direction of what dueling content I do have. This one is really fascinating. Well, first off, there's a bunch of TBC dueling stuff that I did on, like, Henhouse TBC. So we got, Holy Reckoning duels versus Mage. We got Holy Reckoning TBCs against randos. So we got some E-Shamans and some Pyro Mages in there. This was me basically theory crafting on TBC Henhouse kind of a deal. And since, you have access to all the gear and 200 weapons in the Henhouse servers, I could actually showcase some duels. And voila, I am a keyboard turning clicker. And it doesn't matter, I'll still beat you into the dirt. Some of the better ones, that's TBC stuff. This one has an interesting story behind it. So this was early on in Classic WoW's life cycle, and people were complaining about rank 14 rogues, because I had a PvP guide about how to beat rogues, and people were complaining about dueling rogues. At the time, of course, I didn't have a 200 weapon, but I was like, I got the one-handed weapon. I'll go beat up a rogue, no problem. That's a duel I can do without a two-hander. I'll go show people how to beat rank 14 rogues. Look at this rogue real fast here before I continue. He has a level 60 stamina buff, and more than likely also a level 60 Mark of the Wild, and he still loses to me in this duel. Now, he only loses to me in this duel because I have to use Lay on Hands. But to be perfectly honest, given this, if you know anything about Paladin, you know anything about rogues, this is me making an absolute clown out of this rogue. Like, I'll play this video really at the end. This is not a happy rogue. He is an absolute and utter disbelief that he just lost to a damn paladin with these two buffs, rank 14 versus the gear that I've got going on. So I show the gear at the end. Like, I am horribly undergeared. Let's see it real fast. Yeah, look at this. I'm literally, I have like bits of tier 2 and then like random Blackrock Depths nonsense, because I didn't realize that rank 10 gear was really the way to go at this point. So I'm like wearing like, male fucking gloves, male waist, because it has spell power on it. And yeah, we got the we actually got some tier 2. Yeah, okay. We got 4-piece tier 2. So this is at least I guess, damn it, Blackwing Lair came out, but damn, son. Okay. Oh, there's a ZG ring. Okay, so ZG's out. All right, so this isn't too bad. Demon Forge Breastplate, yeah, it's got a spell power ratio behind it. It's like 60%, but the base amount is actually really good. And I'm still wearing random Blackrock Depths garbage. Like, what is this damn paladin? And I win. And, yeah, I'll have that duel running, and I'll keep talking in the background. Turn off my monitor here again. Right, so I was talking about how, yeah, so strategically, execution-wise, I'm not the paladin to aspire to. Strategy-wise, I'm definitely the paladin to aspire to. Okay, so that answers some questions. That answers people who have questions of why don't I show duels in the background if I'm doing all this theory crafting and whatnot. I think some people are just curious, and other people are legitimately asking it as kind of a dig. Like, am I just a theory crafting paper tiger? And to be perfectly honest, I wish I was a theory, like an armchair general theory crafting paper tiger in classic World of Warcraft. I'd have, thousands of hours of my life back. But the sad truth is, I know all the statistics and the numbers that I do know on things and all the random relevant bits of data and information. Like, for example, Blessing of Protection works on scattershot versus hunters. And if you're not using it versus hunters, you're doing something wrong, especially as a Deep Holy Paladin, which I keep seeing them mess up in dueling tournaments, which I find amusing. Because I actually, play the game for, like I don't know, I'm probably like 200 days slash played or something stupid at this point. It's actually kind of ridiculous. So I wish I was a paper tiger. Um, Other people say weird comments. So here's the other weird comment I want to address. Other people do weird comments like, you're too arrogant. You're not the third best paladin in the world. I hate it when you say that. Who are just some variation of who the hell are you to say to act uppity, I guess you could say. Who are you to be so arrogant? I'm like, okay, I'll tell you about me and who the hell I am and why the hell I get to be arrogant. Lol. How's this duel going here? Can we stop this? Whatever. You guys can finish the video later, but it ends somewhere like right here, where I basically had to use LOH. Yeah, did I? Yeah, I must have used it already. Okay, yeah. So he gets me in a stun, or am I about to kill him? Yeah, I think I'm about to kill him. No, I think he gets away from me here, if I recall correctly. Yeah, because of that fucking stamina buff. Oh my god. He needs to dip set and cloak. He's going to kill himself on me. What are you doing? Okay, now you lose. Alright, cool. That stamina buff, I hated it so bad in this duel, man. Holy crap, that stamina buff was too much. If you know anything about Paladin versus Rogue, the toe-to-toes, that stamina buff is an absolute monster. Yeah, so there goes the lay on hands. And I remember, yeah, he gets me in a stun, and I'm like, GG's. And then I say, unless I use lay on hands. And then I had used lay on hands, and I won. All right, end of that duel. All right, cool. So we covered this, the tips out thing. We covered this dueling thing. We got some dueling videos for you to watch if you really want to. That's another thing I want to talk about, and this is another thing that I want to talk about. It's like, yeah, I'm not a. Oh yeah, we'll get there. So now I want to go over here and talk about this. Okay. So the story about the story about Pally Time in classic World of Warcraft is the story about Paladin innovation, particularly in PvE and PvP. Okay, far less in PvE. It's only recently that my name is even in the annals of PvE innovation in classic World of Warcraft. But in PvP, there are two names, and one of them is Palitime, and the other one is Drakova, and then there's like nobody else. Okay? So the history of Palitime is the history of Paladin PvP innovation. All right, so the history of Paladin PvP innovation. Yeah, this is what this video is turning into now. The history of Paladin PvP innovation in World of Warcraft is basically, it starts off as one man, and that's just Drakova. So that's Drakova on private servers being an absolute psychopath and testing out every possible this or that he could possibly do with Paladin, yada, yada, yada. And it was basically just him making videos for a very long period of time. And then I started deciding I wanted to play Paladin, and I started watching videos, which meant I started watching Drakova videos because I wanted to PvP. And then I got on, I think it was Shadowmourne, or not Shadowmourne, but like Darkspear. Yeah, like private server Darkspear that Drakova was playing on at the time. And I basically started fishing and giving Drakova gold so you'd pay attention to me and answer my stupid Paladin PvP questions. While I was leveling a Paladin, of course, to try to get good. Then eventually Henhouse server came out, the classic private server Henhouse. And Drakova dragged me over to Henhouse and basically kicked me into the deep end and said, there's the gear, go figure it out yourself, and then abandoned me. Well, when he came back something like 4 or 5 months later after abandoning me on Henhouse, and this is around about the time Classic WoW got announced, that it was officially going to come out, where once I was the learner, now I was a master. Was I the master at that time period? No, but I was an absolute monster on Henhouse. I went by the name Rishi Doom back then. And it was me. If you wanted to duel the top tier paladin on Henhouse, it was me, and then nobody else because Drakova was never around. Okay. So since I started kind of knowing my stuff at that point, I decided to make a bunch of PvP guides, especially since if you know anything about Drakova and him making guides, Drakova doesn't really have the gift of gab, right? So he can do everything with Paladin except talk about PvP with Paladin. So that's why, yeah, literally I had a conversation with Drakova, and he's like, hey, you know what? Somebody needs to make these PvP guides. You talk good. You seem to know your stuff. You go make a channel and you go make the PvP guides. This is what Drakova told me. So this is what I went and did. But basically, he just pawned off the responsibility on me, and now he's happily absent living his life and doesn't have to worry about this Paladin PvP stuff because Palytime makes videos. Okay. So, things I have achieved over the years of making Paladin PvP videos. Like, what kind of PvP innovation can I directly point to historically and say, that is me, that is me, that is me? Now, keep in mind, if I'm not pointing to it and saying that is me, then by default, it would almost always be Drakova who is responsible for this stuff. Now, the reason why you might think to yourself, okay, so I am definitively putting my foot down, and I'm saying, when it comes to Paladin PvP innovation over the years, especially like the last 6 or 7 years or so, the names are Drakova, number 1, Palytime, number 2, and then nobody else. Now, you might think to yourself, maybe we should put S-Fand on that list. You know, he makes a bunch of PvP this or PvP that. True, but notice I said Paladin innovation. Almost everything that Drakova, that S-Fand talks about, he got from Drakova. So that's not a unique innovation thing on S-Fand's part. That's Drakova figured it out. Drakova and S-Fans were best friends, best friends from like childhood. They played Paladin together. Yeah, so you can see the lineage there. Drakova figures it out. The two of them are friends. S-Fan has his own channel, regurgitates the information. That's not him innovating. That's just him being a player in the PvP innovation ecosystem. All right, cool. We cool with that? Sweet. Okay, so things that I am most well known for. Number 1, I invented time on target Paladin. This might sound insane, but once upon a time, a number of years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, about 5 years ago, Paladin PvP innovation did not exist. PvP innovation, lol, what am I saying? Paladin time on target did not exist. What the hell is time on target? Well, time on target is when you gear your Paladin in such a way and you play in such a way so that you're looking for a window of opportunity. You're going to get this window of opportunity where you can sit on just about any class in the game with the sole exception of Mage for like 40 seconds or more and just beat them to death with a weapon of your choice. Usually that weapon of choice being a one-handed weapon, okay? It's called Time on Target Paladin, named by yours truly, invented by yours truly. It was not a thing until I basically invented it on Henhouse Classic WoW private server. All right. Other things that I am super well known for would be this, or I should be well known for, but is back in the day, people had a really hard time trying to figure out how to deal with Shadow Priests. Like, nobody knew how the hell to deal with Shadow Priests. They have mana burn. They would burn our mana away. They were considered a hard counter to Paladin, right? Nobody knew how to deal with Shadow Priests. Very, very annoying. Even Drakova was like, yeah, I just stack a bunch of Shadow Resist, and hopefully I beat them down over time. In actual world PvP, if I'm not in a Shadow Resist suit, I run away in a straight line. That was Drakova's TLDR on the subject. Then yours truly comes in and he makes a Paladin versus a Shadow Priest guide. All right. And the next thing you know, Paladins are absolutely destroying Shadow Priests in tournaments. You'll have S-Fan talking about how to beat a Shadow Priest, literally, not quoting my guide or giving me credit or anything, but doing literally exactly what I say to do in my guide, with a little bit of telephone type variation. Like they're using way more Shadow Resist gear than I ever advise in my guide. I advise in my guide to be pretty heavily DPS gear. But the TLDR of the matter is, everybody used to think Shadow Priest was really hard to deal with for Paladin, and then Palatine makes a guide, and then suddenly Shadow Priests are not talked about it as an issue anymore. The TLDR on that guide is our Seal of Wisdom costs like 190 mana. It has a chance of us giving mana back, which a Shadow Priest cannot afford, and it's going to cost the Shadow Priest 258 mana to purge it off of us. And you start doing the math on that, and you're like, okay, well, if I seal and hit the guy with a two-handed weapon, it's going to have like a 95% chance to give me 90 mana back, making the seal only cost like 100 mana. And the priest still has to deal with it. And when he deals with it, it's a bad mana exchange, and you beat them through a mana war. And then, of course, there's a Skelly Pet summon that you can use to keep them in combat if you really want to. But the time on target that you generate on the Paladin or the Shadow Priest is literally PvP Trinket plus Bubble plus damn it, what is it? Mithril Insignia Trinket, plus a Shadow. You can throw a Shadow Reflector in there if you want to, plus just naturally resisting one of their fears. So, for example, your kill window is to wait till you resist one of their fears naturally, and then 30 seconds. It's actually 25 seconds with their rank gear. 25 seconds later, when they fear you, you PvP Trinket that. Then 25 seconds later, when they fear you, you bubble that. And then 25 seconds later, you use Mithril Insignia or Shadow Reflector, and you just ignore the next fear. So you get 2 minutes of time on target on them if you want it. Like, holy crap. Super easy duel once you realize that you're in a mana war and you play accordingly, and this is how you do it. Right, blah, 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 blah. You can even put Blessing of Wisdom on yourself, and if they purge it off, it's like a 258 mana exchange for like 100 mana. It's actually ridiculous. All right, so keeping on with the timeline, I'm doing these in timeline. So this was one of the first videos I made. Then I think I made Paladin versus Warlock, and then I think I made Paladin versus Shaman. And spoiler alert, we might as well just start putting X's over these guys. Okay. So the next class on the list was Warlocks. Everybody thought that back in the day, and this is going to sound crazy, back in the day, the terror of dueling tournaments, so much so that they were banned from being in dueling tournaments, and they might even still to this day be banned from being in dueling tournaments, was SL Warlock, Soul Link Warlock. Basically, a low damage, super tanky Warlock that just doesn't die for anything, and then gets resets and attrits people out. Kind of like a mage version of play, but for Warlock, right? Like the sheep reset kind of a deal. Except super tanky. Oh my goodness. Nobody knew how to beat these guys in duels. Paladins used to complain about them incessantly. Nobody knew how to beat them. I made a guide on the subject. I used time on target tactics. I used things like Edward the Odd and Mithril Insignia to sit on them and beat them to death for long periods of time. I used skeleton summons to deny them the reset, and to even yourself eat and drink so they can't reset on you as the Paladin. TLDRs, I made a guide on how to beat them. And lo and behold, like 6 months later, everyone is talking about in these dueling tournaments how these Paladins are beating the crap out of Warlocks, and how nobody ever talks about how Warlocks are the kings of dueling anymore. What you primarily hear is that Paladins counter Warlocks. Gee, I wonder what happened there. All right, cool. So again, we have that formula of everyone was scared of a certain class. Palatine makes a dueling guide video. Everyone's now beating that class. All right, another spoiler alert. Shaman, Paladin versus Shaman. Same story applied. Everybody couldn't figure out how to beat Paladin versus Shaman. Drakova had his own ideas, but he used to talk about how it was still a really hard matchup, but that's like from a Reckoning perspective. And then, of course, as the inventor of time on target Paladin, I basically applied a time on target mentality to dealing with shamans, and lo and behold, I made a guide, and now shamans kind of fall over all over the place. The TLDR on fighting shamans is, it's like, yeah, they've got two really scary bursts. Okay, they got two really scary bursts. The first burst they use to get your bubble, and the second burst they use to kill you. Their weakness, however, is that they need to use about a third of their mana in order to effectively kill you as a paladin. Like each of those two bursts costs one third of their mana. And that includes like if they use a mana potion and all that kind of stuff. They are not very mana intensive. I mean, my bad. They're not very mana efficient. But what they're really good at is taking their mana bar, converting it into damage, and throwing it at you. They're super good at that. They're just not very mana efficient at doing that, if that makes sense. They're kind of like a boomkin druid in that way as far as like raiding is concerned, right? So the easiest way to deal with shamans is a combination of gear in such a way that you're basically unkillable to the shaman, play in such a way that you're basically unkillable to the shaman. Make sure you know your time on target tactics. The shaman will because he can't kill you. Because if he can't kill you, I mean, then you just run him down and beat him to death. It's not a very difficult matchup once you apply a very, very basic principles to it. Reckoning can't really apply this because they don't really have heal in combat, but like Deep Ret just, oh my goodness. Deep Ret does horrible, horrible things to elemental shamans these days, as does Holy Reckoning, as does Deep Holy Paladins, right? The whole time on target thing just eats them alive. Terrible stuff. All right, so these days, and this is now the one in question. So I just recently made a Paladin versus Mage guide, right? And it's the first Paladin versus Mage guide that I know of in all of Paladin versus X class classic WoW history. And we shall see, right? The jury's still out. I get a lot of comments on, blah, 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 blah. It wouldn't work. They're still going to kill you. I got one recently that made me go like, what? I can pull it up probably right here. Something about Zico. Yeah. No, not that. Not that. Not even. Okay, where's it at? Not that. No. Oh, here we go. My dear Palatime, if anyone here follows your 4-hour guide versus Mage, including yourself, you will lose to Zico. I get comments like this. And all I can think to myself is, we'll see. Maybe he's right, but we'll see. Okay? We'll see. The guide is out. We will see what happens. Also, part of this history, I suppose, of Paladin innovation and whatnot is that even though I'm not... How do I put this? Yeah, I wanted to show Discord real quick here. I remember that. All right, so we Discord, we got Tritus here. This is Peaceblade. I might be able to pull up Peaceblade real quick here. Do not sleep on resist. Oh yeah, that video. Got McConnell who pops in once every septennial or something like that. We got Drakova up here. This David guy is actually Talrain, which I always find funny. Let's go back to Tritus real fast here. I just wanted to bring this up. So a lot of paladins who have far better execution than I do, they have like near Drakova levels of execution, have taken my guides, applied them to PvP tournaments, and are now winning PvP tournaments pretty much on the regular. They are known as paladin, like tournament winning monsters. Talrain won a bunch of tournaments using my guides and Dracova's guides. Tritus is a Holy Reckoning paladin that wins a bunch of tournaments. Peaceblade, we've seen him in action in tournaments using my stuff, and so forth and so on. I'm not a paper tiger. All right, that's all All right, what else is there to talk about here? Oh, yeah, I wanted to bring this up. If I'm a paper, where do you think stuff like this comes from? Right? Like let's just get back a little bit here. Remember, I added one later on, right? Yeah. Where do you guys think all this stuff comes from exactly? Three-piece Marshal, three-piece Avenger, plus random stats gear, two-piece Marshal, three-piece Avenger, Thick Obsidian, plus random stats gear, two-piece. Where do you think all this gearing guide comes from? Do you guys think this stuff just gets pulled out of the ether? Like this has just been the way it's been for Paladin since the dawn of ages and blah, blah. No, that's actually not the history of Classic World of Warcraft Paladin. The history of Classic World of Warcraft Paladin is we're still trying to figure out what the hell gear to wear on your damn Paladin. A lot of this gear stuff, depending upon the color, comes straight from Drakova. And this is like this is like less than a year old, us figuring stuff out straight from Drakova. Some of this stuff is from, like, talking to Talrain, because his slight variations and thoughts on things, or Tritus and his slight variation and thoughts on things. So, like, there's a 4-piece Avenger here, like 2-piece Marshal, 4-piece Avenger plus random stat gear. That's all Tritus. When I talked to Tritus about his gearing and what he likes to wear, winning these PvP tournaments and whatnot, and he was like, yeah, I like having 5,800 HP and 5,100 mana bar. I don't give a crap about the 5-set bonus from Avengers. And I was like, damn, I better go look that up. That sounds kind of nasty. But a lot of this gear here are Pally time specials. Right, 5-piece tier 2, 2-piece Marshal, Thick Obsidians, random stats gear. That's might be a Palatine special. Hard to say. It's only a Palatine special if we're also using fire resist gear mixed in here. Thick Obsidians, 2-piece Marshals plus stats, 3-piece Marshals, blah 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 blah. Yeah. So we've been innovating on Paladin gearing for a long time now. To be perfectly honest with you. And a lot of this just comes from playtesting World of Warcraft. Like, where the hell do you think these HP breakpoint numbers come from? Drakova could only give you a very rough estimate of where the hell the HP breakpoint is. He never actually sits down and does the math as to why the hell an HP breakpoint is where it is. He just plays the game and figures out that, okay, my breakpoint is somewhere around 4,600 HP, and he rolls with it from there. Whereas yours truly will actually, dive into the math and try to figure out why exactly this is happening. And lo and behold, it makes you really, really hard to kill for elemental shamans and mages round about certain HP levels in certain phases versus certain gears. Blah, 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 blah. Not a paper tiger. Okay, cool. Luckily we got that out of the way. Okay, we're almost done. All right, so let's talk. So that's kind of my history in PvE. Keyboard, TLDR is keyboard turning clicker. I am one of 2 paladins that innovates. I am not the executional paladin to aspire to, but I am an intellectual and knowledge-based paladin to aspire to. I have played my role in the advancement of paladin PvP over the years. This PvE thing is very recent. So the big innovators in PvP and PvE Paladin are definitely not me. Like, you wouldn't even put my name on the list of innovators for PvE ever, up until like maybe a couple months ago when Hardcore got announced, right? And the only reason I'm anywhere on the list, or even belong in that damn conversation or that history, is because I sat down once upon a time and tested out all the different gearing options for when Season of Mastery was coming out. Like, what's the best leveling strategy for Paladin in Season of Mastery and why? Even made a video on it, right? So I tested strength, stamina. I tested everything except strength and agility and just took Dracova's word for it. That strength, agility, plus killing one mob at a time. Boring as hell, no questing, but it's a super fast way to level. And then Cargos had all of his videos, and Cargos wasn't even a super innovator himself. It was some other paladins that Cargos was talking to who were the super innovators, blah, 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 blah. I'm only here because of Hardcore, right, in PvE. And that's because I identified that Stamina Intellect Paladin had some serious potential, and it was probably a very safe and really good way to level, probably the best way to level on a PvP server specifically. And then Hardcore came out, And then everything I had learned about Paladin, I got pumped into hardcore. I was like, well, if it's good enough for PvP servers where you're planning on getting ganked all the damn time and having to deal with that scenario, then it's probably also good for hardcore. So I went and I tested it in hardcore, and holy crap, it's absolutely amazing in hardcore. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to say about that. Now for the last thing to talk about. So sometimes I get people wonder why I don't make videos that are of better quality, like, better audio, better editing, shorter, instead of these long form videos, yada, yada, yada. I want to show you guys something, okay? So this guy here has been making videos he's got a fair few videos, right? Not many, but he's got a few. When you do this high quality editing stuff, it takes quite a bit of time to make some videos, so you can see how long it's taking him to make these videos. I want you to look at the quality of these videos.
Greetings, Paladin.
And I want you to look at how many subs he has and how many views he has. He's got 5,100, 5.3K views in this video. Made 3 months ago, 144 subscribers. Just watch this with me for a second.
I am your trainer, Darren Lightblade. I am here to teach you the secrets of Nightfall, a prized weapon that empowers and supports all casters in your raid, maximizing their potential. It has a chance on hit ability that applies a debuff to the target, increasing all spell damage dealt by 15% for 5 seconds. It can be crafted by a master axesmith who is exalted with the Thorium Brotherhood. But to truly harness the power of Nightfall and unleash its maximum potential, you must master
Seal twisting. Yeah.
Right.
I wanted to learn seal twisting, so I looked this up.
Might have been
Yeah.
a bit over the top. But anyways, before I introduce you to the concept of seal twisting, let's talk about Seal of Righteousness. Seal of Righteousness is a buff that deals holy damage upon successful melee hits. But here's the thing, the applied holy damage is treated as an additional hit, capable of triggering Nightfall's ability. However, it's important to note that using Judgment to unleash Seal of Righteousness does not count as an extra hit. Therefore, it is important to avoid judging Seal of Righteousness. Ranks 1 to 3 have a spell coefficient of 0.18, while ranks 4 to 8 have a spell coefficient of 0.12. That means that ranks 1 to 3 give the most bang for your buck. Next up, let's talk Seal of Command.
Alright, so hopefully that's enough and hopefully you get it. It's actually amazing, and I learned quite a bit. Like, for example, I learned that the delay window on his hit is... like, the seal twisting window is like 0.4 seconds. I don't know if it's changed or not, but damn. And you can see down here on his attack swing bar...
is approaching the 0.4 second window.
Yeah. So he's got this swing timer bar down here. It's slowly filling up, and he's got this little line here and this add-on, and this is your seal twisting window, basically, bar. And I'm like, damn, I could get an add-on for that? Like, what the hell? Oh my goodness, I might have to go do that. That's actually freaking awesome. Anyway, the video is very high quality, very well done, pretty amazing. I've watched a few of them. The information is hit and miss. Like, some of it is good, some of it is bad. Particularly, I watched, like, the AoE tanking stuff because I was hoping I could get, like, some high-quality visuals to talk to you guys about. Paladin Powerhouse, offensive AoE farming, Holy Carnage, no. AoE farming, yeah.
Hey!
Yeah.
Substantial damage
yeah,
bonus.
go to hell. Alright, so this is a perfect example. Okay, let's listen to him talk about Wrath of Cenarius here for a second.
As for rings, Wrath of Cenarius is incredibly powerful, as the ability can trigger on the first tick of consecration on each mob, resulting in a substantial damage bonus. Nagel Ring is consecration on each mob.
So what he just said is technically BS. Okay, I went out, I got this damn ring. It'll take you, it's like a week of grinding to get this damn ring. It is a nightmare scenario to get this damn ring, and I tested it. Drakova paid for my endeavors and helped me get this ring just so he didn't have to test it his own damn self. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'll describe to you what this ring does. This ring has a 3% chance to proc. Is it 3 or is it 5? It might be 5%. Fine, we'll go with the 5% on the tooltip. But it's per spell hit per GCD. Okay, it's not per tick of consecration. It's per spell hit per GCD. When I did the math, The thing had, okay, fine, we'll go with a 5% proc chance. My math was more like 3%, but whatever. Maybe I'm stupid. But basically, it'll be like this. Let's say there's 8 mobs attacking me, and I decide to throw down a consecration. The game will be like, okay, you just cast a spell, and you're on a GCD. I'm going to take this ring's proc chance and multiply it by the number of mobs that just got hit by this spell, which will be 8 times 5. So there'd be a 40% chance that Wrath of Cenarius procced off of you casting Consecration. But for each tick of damage from Consecration, it doesn't recheck to proc. Okay, are we clear on that? So, for example, if you're a mage, this is fucking awesome because it has a chance to proc 5% times every mob that gets hit by your Arcane Explosion, right? So you just go Arcane Explosion, Arcane Explosion, Arcane Explosion, and this thing will have a 40% chance to proc on 8 mobs every time you press the button. But for Consecration, it's literally a button press. So it activates off of the button press. So yeah, so like little bits of information like that will be off. There's a few other ones here. Shield, I think. Like he talks about this shield being amazing. It is. I own one, except its durability. You can do like 2. Damn it! What is it? Graveyard runs. Zul'Farrak. 2 Zul'Farrak graveyard runs with this thing before it breaks. Before it's red. It loses durability like crazy. It's actually not the greatest thing in the world. Definitely go with Skullflame Shield instead. Alright, cool. But I did learn some stuff here, which was kind of neat. But a lot of it was like, okay, I've tested that. That's not actually true. But anyways, just look at the quality of the videos here, the transitions and everything, how short this video is. This is like a 3.5 minute video, 145 subscribers. Hopefully he went up 1 subscriber in the amount of time that I looked at this video. But damn. And that's kind of the experience I had making classic World of Warcraft videos. It's quality of information and quantity of video that is the video you want to make. It has nothing to do with the visuals and all that kind of stuff. If you put enough work into it, it'll get good, but it's just not worth it. So anyways, I've been rambling on too long. I'm ending the video here. Hopefully it answers a bunch of questions about who the hell Palatime is, why he even has the right to talk, why he calls himself the 3rd best paladin in the world, blah, 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 blah. So when I say that I am the 3rd best paladin in the world, know that what I mean when I say that is this. Okay? The undisputed king of paladins is Drakova. All right? He is the #1 innovator on paladin PvP. This is PvP, not PvE. #1 innovator on PvP. His execution is top level, if not near top level, to the point where the phrase Drakova levels of execution is an actual thing. There are a lot of paladins out there who have Drakova level of execution ability. Okay? Just about any amazing video you see of a paladin running around, being a Giga Chad and stomping face, they will have near Drakova level abilities of execution. Your boy here is a keyboard turning clicker, right? So to me, the 2nd best paladin slot belongs to a slew of paladins. Like some of them who we can name, some of them who we cannot name. So for example, a Talrain would be a 2nd best paladin. Damn it, who's the boy? He's just Tritus, thank God. So close to Talrain, I always forget. Tritus would be another top tier paladin who could claim to be 2nd best paladin in the world. There's a bunch of other paladins that can claim to be 2nd best paladin in the world. I cannot do that because I do not have Drakova levels of execution. All I have is Drakova levels of tactical nuance and creativity. What does that mean exactly? What that means is if you fight a Drakova, there is a good chance he is going to do some stuff and follow some tactics and line of play that nobody has ever seen before, including myself. When you fight me, there's a good chance that I will pull things out of my butt that nobody has ever seen before, because that's just how I be. If you fight a Talrain or you fight a Tritus, thank God. I keep wanting to keep you're probably not going to see a lot of innovation. So, in other words, at the tippy top level of PvP, we kind of watch each other's guides. Like I'll go watch, mage versus paladin guides. They'll go and watch, our guides and yada yada yada, vice versa. Because we want to get the mindset of what other people are thinking about the class and the matchup and so forth and so on. And literally, it's don't watch other people's guides at your peril at the highest level of PvP. When you fight anybody but a Palatine or anybody but a Drakova, you can be fairly certain they're not going to come after you as long as you've done your research with anything that you've never seen before. When fighting a Drakova or fighting a Palatine, all bets are off. Because they're the assholes who are the tippy top of the innovators, and you have no fucking idea if we are going to adjust to your adjustment on the fly before you even know what the hell is happening. So you'll watch the videos, watch the guides, you'll make your adjustments, you'll think you know what the hell you're doing. Then me and Drakova will assume you've watched the guides, made the adjustment. Well, in fact, we'll watch for it. We'll look at your gear and see if you've made any adjustments, and then we'll adjust for the adjustment, kind of a deal, right? Well, that's just how it is. So that's why I place myself third best, because, yeah, you can outskill me, but can you out-innovate me, is the question. And the only person who... There's no paladin who can out-innovate me. That paladin does not exist. There's a paladin that can match me for innovation. That's Drakova. Is there one that can out-innovate me? No. Are there paladins that can outskill me mechanically? Fuck yes. There's like 100 of them at any given point in time on planet Earth. Trust me. So anyway, that's why I put myself number 3. Anyways, I'm in the video here, getting a little long, and Deus Volt, boys.